A big ovation to the unbelievable, to the
that influence people more in life, whether it's business, work or pleasure. Thank you. Put your hand up if you just don't care about being able to influence anyone at all in life. Thank you. Because I believe that being able to influence people is the most important skill in life. Whether it's, if you want to get promotion in your job, you've got to be able to influence your boss. If you want a different job, you've got to be able to influence the interviewers. If you want more customers, you've got to be able to influence. If you want more sales, you've got to be able to influence your customers. Every situation in life where you want to progress, you need to be able to influence. So today, I'm going to be sharing 3 key areas of influence. I'm going to be talking about getting your story in the media, establishing rapport, and turning customers into raving fans. But first of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to get on stage for the first time. And it's been a long weekend, so for everyone still to be here up to the end of today's Sunday, I'd like everyone just acknowledge that and give us a round of applause. And I'd also like to thank Harry and Lily for giving the opportunity to stand here on stage. So thank you, Harry and Lily. So, a little bit about myself. So I studied English and sociology at university, and there are 2 things I'm really passionate about, which is communication and understanding people. I worked in communications for around 25 years. I started off first of all at IT, then I moved to marketing and external comms, and then more recently into internal side of things. So I've worked in all areas. I've also studied NLP and CBT. So I'd like to ask you a question. Does anyone be made redundant, or does anyone know someone who's been made redundant? Thank you. Does anyone not know anyone's been made redundant or been made redundant? Yeah, it's quite common nowadays. You know, for most people will know someone's been made redundant, but I've been made redundant 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. But the 3rd time, it hit me quite bad, because I was expecting my first baby and also just bought a big house. So straight away I knew it was going to happen. I was called to a meeting, and there's like a glass fishbowl office, and my manager was there, the HR director and the director of the department, and all sitting there, their files, and I knew straight away I was going to be made redundant. So I got a temporary job straight away, and my wife had the baby, but unfortunately, just as we were about to leave hospital, it stopped breathing. And it was in hospital for 4 weeks. So I was in a temporary job in King's Cross, and my baby was born in Euston, in UCH, and I was basically running as fast as I could every single day. In my lunch break, I was running across to sit by my baby's side. After work, I'd run across, and I'd stay there till like the early hours, get a night bus home, get 3 hours sleep, and then go to the hospital in the morning, and then stay there till I had to run to work. And I did this every day for 4 weeks. And I did that, obviously the most important thing in my life, that priority, but it was one of the lowest points of my life. We just bought a massive house. I was in a temporary job I didn't enjoy, and my baby was in well, it's intensive care. So it's a really low point for me. And I knew that I had to make a change. I had to take more control in my life. I've been made redundant 3 times, and it was like a wake-up moment. So I had to be able to influence life more, be able to influence people more. So I'd always worked in communications, and I was an expert sort of in copywriting, but I knew I had to improve my public speaking, my interpersonal skills. So I did the Speakers Are Leaders, we're here today, and the advanced course. I joined Toastmasters Speaking Club. I did every workshop I could and every book that I could read to improve my skills in that area. So I could get to this point where I could share what I've learnt and run my own business, teaching other people how to influence their life, make those changes. And then the lesson is that basically you can change, and sometimes it takes getting to the lowest point before you realise that you need to change, but it's never too late. And it all worked out well. It's a little thumbs up. So, yeah, it had a happy ending story. So I just want to talk about learning, following with what Harry said. We all know that if we just learn passively and we read or we listen to people talking, we remember around 30%. But if we listen and make notes, it goes up to 60, 70%. And if we engage and interact more by putting arms up and answering questions, it goes up to 90%. So the more you involve, the more you interact, the more you'll learn, which is what we're all here for today. So the first thing I'm going to share with you, which follows on from Raphael's talk, is all about getting your story in the media. So my wife's a PR director, and she told me that to get a half-page advert in a national newspaper, anything from £15,000 upwards, depending on which paper, just for a small half-page advert. So if you can get your story in the media, it's completely free. You know, if a journalist will include your story in, yeah, it's completely free. But also, you're going to be seen more authority. So if you're paying for an advert, you're getting an article in there. So how do you get your story in the media? Well, now we're sport with more media channels than ever before in history. We've got newspapers, television, radio, online, offline. We've got hundreds of social media channels. Traditional newspapers have hundreds of thousands of readership, and YouTube has millions. So the first thing you've got to do is get the attention. So if the classic way, the technique for getting your story in a newspaper is a press release. And if you're going to send a press release to a journalist, the first thing is to catch their attention. So obviously journalists get hundreds and hundreds of press releases every day. So that your email heading, it's got to be clear, it's got to be concise, and it's got to stand out. After that, your press release has to be, again, clear, concise. That first paragraph has got to have all the what's, why's, when's, and how's. It's got to be what's happening, why should people listen, what's so special, what's so different? Why should the journalist be interested? Why should you publish your story? What's your hook? It's all about putting your story across, that personal element about what you're trying to share, what you're trying to sell. And then you have more information and a powerful quote, and then link to your website, images, contact details. When you're contacting a journalist, business is all about relationships. So with a journalist, whether it's social media or print, follow them on social media, interact, like their content, add comments. If you can build up a relationship before you send your press release, your story, that's going to only be an advantage. And don't send your press release to a general mailbox, send it to their personal one. Look at what style of articles, how do they write their stories? Send them a press release in the same style. Because ideally, a journalist wants to get your press release and pretty much put it straight into the paper. The fewer edits you have to make, the better. So look at what articles they've written, what's the style of that they use, what sort of features they've written, and adapt your content to fit their style. And then as well as that, chase it up. It's so competitive. So once you sent your email, you sent your press release, phone it up, chase it up, be creative and be determined. So I just want to share a story here. This guy is called Jeremy Gilley. He was a filmmaker and an actor in the 1990s, and he had this idea he wanted to share. He realized there'd never been a day in history for like 1,000 years, there hadn't been one day without any conflict in the world. And that was he had this passion for sharing that, doing something about that. So he made a documentary, he sent it to festivals, he sent the story to media. He had a clear message, a link to world events, he had a passion and determination, and it was picked up, and it won some awards, and he was invited by the United Nations to come present in front of them. It's now the only day where there's an international ceasefire by all countries in the world. It's the only international day of ceasefire. It's 11th September, and if you Google it, 240 million people estimated know about this day in 120 countries. It's quite unique. One guy's passion, one guy's dream has led to an international day of ceasefire. It's quite incredible. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is some rapport. So someone said before that you have 7 seconds. Everyone makes up their first impression of you in 7 seconds. And when we're doing business meetings, I'm sure some of you in property, there could be hundreds of thousands of pounds. You've got one chance to make the right impression. One chance to make that deal or blow that deal. So 55% of communication is body language, only 7% is what you say. So when you meet people and you have impact, it's your body language that will make the biggest difference. So to establish rapport, the first thing you've got to do is do your homework. Do a bit of basic research. It's all about connection. People like themselves, they're saying in NLP. People like themselves. The more you can be like someone, the more likely you can establish rapport. So you're going to meet them in a corporate environment, then you're dressed in a suit. You're going to meet them in a pub, then you're dressed informally. Look them up on LinkedIn. Have you got the same connections? Have you got the same interests? The more you can have points that you've got in common, the more likely to establish rapport. You want to meet the person, and they think, wow, there's something about this person I really like. There's something, I could work with this person. There's something about them. So as soon as you meet them, you've got to scan them, and I'm sure most of you heard NLP, it's a technique called mirroring and matching. You've got to look at their behavior, their body language, and we're all different individuals, and we all got our own personal body language, so you've got to observe the person. Are they walking quickly or slowly? Are they talking fast? They've got a strong handshake, and you've got to mirror and match that. So on a subconscious level, they'll see someone like themselves. So put your hand in the air, turn to the person next to you and say, I want to establish rapport. So the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is turning customers into fans. So we all want more customers, we want repeat business, and the ideal thing is to turn the customers from customers to fans of your business. You want to be your advocates, you're like ambassadors. You want to be using word-of-mouth marketing to tell their family and friends, about the great experience they have with you, to come back to you again and again, and to repeat business. So how do you do that? Well, the first basic thing is you've got to give exceptional customer service. That's the most basic thing. So if there's a problem, obviously recognize and deal with it, but also understand your customer. How do they like to be communicated? Is it by email or text? When do they like to be communicated? Do a little poll and ask them what would they like to see improved in your business. And then if you can make that change, make that improvement, you can go back and say, you wanted this, now we've done it. Make your customer feel special, make them feel valued. So there's a lot of talk about personalization nowadays, and the more you can do that, the more of an effect it has. So obviously we address the emails by the first name of the person, that's quite a common one, but the more you can refer back to the products they brought, the first time they shopped with you, on the birthday, the more points you can show you know them and understand them, the more that they will feel valued and part of the community. You're selling them the benefits, not just your products, but them as a company, yourself as a company. So I just want to tell you a story. When I bought my house, I mentioned earlier, we had about £20,000 of work needed on it. So we had a new bathroom, a new kitchen, we had plaster, electrical done. We got some quotes from about 4 builders, and the first 3 builders, they emailed the quotes through. The 4th one, the next day, we had a delivery, and it was basically it's like a coffee table book. And we opened it up, and it had a photograph of a house on the front. Inside, there were a detailed description of work needed, a photograph of a team who do the work. There was testimonials, history of the company. It's incredible. I mean, it must cost about £100 genuinely to do this. And obviously that was the one we chose because all our questions, all the doubts we had were answered. And it showed that as a company has obviously thought about, you know, what they're going to offer. They'd answered every question. They've shown a company that cared. They had the history. They had the skills. And if you're going to bid for like £20,000 of work or £200,000 of work, would you send an email, or would you make that extra bit of effort, spend that extra bit of money, and that extra value? So of course, yeah, that was one we chose. And looking at a big example of like Apple. With Apple, people who use Apple products are like fiercely loyal. People who use iPhones, they tend to use Macs. They buy the iPhone 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, they upgrade even if the phone's working. And is it because of the technology? No, it's more about the brand. You know, it's innovative, it's cool, it's association, and the cutting edge, the pioneering. So it's what does your company, what are your company's values? What are you putting yourself across? What's your values, what's your story? You're going to need to sort of get your customers into that. Just one last example is I've got a local pub. I'm sure we've got a local restaurant pub, and my birthday every year and other occasions, they send me a handwritten note saying, come in and get 50% off your bottle of wine. And I think, how can you make any money when you do that? But you know, it's handwritten, it's hand delivered. But every time I go, I bring different friends and family. I always tell my friends and family. I brought 150 people every year into it. So to them, it's worth every penny because they're not just getting me, they're getting 150 other customers that always tell people. So it's all about creating a story. It doesn't matter what your technology is. It doesn't matter how sophisticated your product is. It's all about the story. People don't want to know about the technology, the data, want to know, can the baby use it? What's your story? So turn to the person next to you and say, I want to create a story. So, I hope you don't mind me putting across an offer today. So, just for today, I want to give you a special offer because I'm launching a new program, it's a new venture, and I'm looking to work with some clients. So, to launch it off today, I'd like to share an offer with you. So, what it is in the 3 parts I've talked about. So, the first one is about getting your story in the media. So, it's a half-day workshop where we will write press release, learn how to structure it, learn how to research, choose the right media, understand exactly your audience, go through the process, how to contact journalists, how to choose your story. There'll be media training with a PR professional, how do you do an interview in the phone, in person, for radio to television, and that's £1,400. I'm also going to throw in I'll write a press release for you. I'll tailor it to your product, your company, your service. And I'm also going to throw in an extra bonus as my own personal contact list with all the journalists and media channels I've worked with over the years. And that in itself is worth thousands. So that's £1,400. The next part of my program is establishing rapport. So again, this is a half-day workshop where we go through understanding behavior, understanding body language, learning how to mirror and match other people's behavior, learning other techniques from NLP to understand behaviors, triggers, and practice the elevator pitch by using your body language to maximize the effect. Some bonuses are, I'm going to give you an invite to my award-winning Toastmasters Club. So we have food and drink provided, expert speakers, and the opportunity to do impromptu speaking yourself. I'll also attend any event of your choosing where I will coach you beforehand, give you support, and some feedback afterwards. And also, the last thing I'm going to throw in the bonus is my own special rapport checklist of items that I use every time I go to meet someone. And that's 1195. So the last part of my program, which is £1,200, is create your customer avatar template. We need to understand your customers in the maximum detail. So where does your customer live? How much does he earn? What's their interests? What's their demographics? You need to know your customer exactly if you're going to be able to sell to them, if you're going to turn them into fans. So I'm going to give you access to my outstanding customer service system. It's an online system. It takes you that step by step. And part of that is customer loyalty funnel of how to build on that. And the last part is access to 6 video online training program as part of turning customers into raving fans. So the last thing is I'm going to throw in free one-to-one coaching sessions, £450, and a copy of my book. Signed, of course. And so the full program is 4245, which is what it will be when it launches, and that's the price on the website. So 1,400 for the getting your story to media, which is the Establish Rapport program 1195, and turn customers into fans, the wow factor, £1,200. So it's £4,245 in total, but for today, yes, you can see just $997, a special offer just for today, as I want to work some clients, I'm launching it at this event. If you're interested, go and see Lydia soon.